Welcome to the Exact Digital Podcast, the show where we dive into how digital marketing agencies are using paid media to drive real growth for their clients and for themselves. From planning to ROI and everything in between, we uncover the strategies, stories, and systems that set agencies apart. Each episode, we'll talk with agency leaders who are innovating with paid media, scaling their businesses, and delivering results that matter. Whether you're looking to expand your services or sharpen the edge of your current offerings, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Exact Digital Podcast. Each episode, we sit down with marketing leaders, agency founders, and growth-minded innovators to unpack the strategies and mindset shifts shaping the future of marketing today. Today's guest is Kathrine Farris, the founder and CEO of Marketecs, a digital marketing and automation agency that blends strategy, creativity, and technology to help small teams and professional service businesses grow more efficiently. Welcome to the show, Kathrine. Can you share a little bit more about the work that you do? And I'm also curious how you came up with the name Marketecs.
Oh, good question, actually.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. And so the work that we do, well, we've been doing this since 2009, so I can't say that it's always been the same exact thing. It's evolved over time, but we have always essentially been a digital marketing agency. The amount of technology, the amount of automation, the amount of programs that we've used has probably been the thing that's evolved over the years as we've implemented that. The different needs of people have certainly grown from just figuring out what an email marketing newsletter was all the way to building AI agents now, right?
Yeah. What an evolution.
When MailChimp was brand new versus what we're dealing with today. Yeah.
Right.
Big shifts. But the Marketecs name actually was not where we started. So when I started, I was actually full-time in banking. And so I was sort of moonlighting, like figuring this thing out. I knew that I really liked technology. I knew that I really liked marketing. I was working with small businesses in banking. I was actually a lender. And so I had kind of earned a little bit of a reputation. I actually had a client bring their laptop into me. And that was actually my introduction to MailChimp, of all things. That's why I bring that up. So back then I started with, I was Office Solutions ME, which I had this cool idea of doing this little like subscript, and I would I don't even know. But ME was for Maine, and I was sort of also like, it was Office Solutions for me. I was trying to be cutesy. Again, this was 2009. This was all revolutionary, the idea of the, online marketing. And then we became Strategic Office Support. So it was SOS, which I still have one client, literally I was on the phone with him before this, that still refers to that name being the best name we ever had. Because he was like, you're my SOS, you're who I call. But I got too many inquiries for office chairs on that one.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yep. So people thought we were office equipment when they were looking us up, and I was like, okay, that ain't fitting anymore.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to sell any chairs.
No, definitely not office equipment. So Marketecs is the blend of marketing and technology, and that definitely became more apparent. Oh, let's see. That was probably 2016 was when we sort of made that shift and officially came into that brand. And I don't envision us going away from that one. That feels like we landed.
That's great. And you kind of have touched on this a little bit already, but with so many marketing agencies out there, what makes Marketecs unique in its approach, especially combining marketing strategy and technology, like you said? So, how does that set you apart?
Yeah. I mean, that's really the key to it. And we even work with other marketing agencies because I do feel like you can have a specialty within digital marketing. There are companies that only do SEO. There are companies that only do paid ads, as you know. There are, there's lots of different specialties you can have. And so we do tend to partner with people. We even actually have marketing consultants as clients. So people that actually do marketing consulting that don't do the implementation piece, that don't do the technology side of things. It's kind of like somebody saying they're really good with technology. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean you can build a computer from the inside out? Do you know hardware? Or does that mean that you know everything about building a website and HTML and you know software? There's still a big variety when you say you know technology, right?
Right, right. So what does technology for you guys mean? And what does that look like for your team?
So for us, it's definitely the software side of things. I do not know how to build a computer. That's my husband's realm. He's much more of a tech guy. So it's definitely the software side of things, and specifically the marketing software and marketing automation software. And this is where we have really excelled over the years. Again, starting out with those, learning how to build email newsletters and learning how to automate that when somebody opts in on your website, that they're going to get your newsletter that you send once a month, when that was still revolutionary and new, all the way to lead magnets and follow-ups and automated appointment booking, and figuring out, now we kind of cross over into some of those operations pieces that are critical and key to being able to scale sales programs, right?
Right.
And then you get into online course building. And we do that as well. So we have a lot of public speakers, professional speakers, and sort of people that would consider themselves educators and thought leaders in different spaces. And you think about what happened during COVID, when all the live and in-person events got shut down, all the offices got shut down, everything went online. I can't tell you how many calls we got for, oh my gosh, I need to update my website. And now that I can't do this in person, how do I do it online? And there was varying degrees of that, from everyone just learning what the word Zoom meant to, which, I mean, Zoom is now a household name, but we've been using it since 2013.
Yeah, interesting.
So we've been doing that type of stuff and that type of collaboration with our clients for quite a while, and learning how to bring that into their business, learning how to say, okay, you have this speaking topic, and in your speaking topic, there's, 5 components. Well, this could be a 6-part online course that's delivered as DIY. This doesn't have to be a live speaking event.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so many things had to figure out a new process, figure out a new way to generate revenue during that time. And a lot of those things have stuck, So kind of going back a second for marketing automation, I know that's like a big part, but it can be so intimidating. And I'm curious, what are the biggest mistakes that you see businesses make when they're trying to adopt marketing tech, and how do you help them avoid those pitfalls?
Yeah, so some of the biggest mistakes are either it's like the two ends of the spectrum. It's avoiding it altogether, or trying to do it too far too fast. I think you need to be sort of in that middle ground, where you need to be open to change. You need to be open to the idea of innovating something, and have a little bit of an idea. Maybe have at least watched a few videos or had a consultation with somebody about what's possible. Then you need to sit back in your business and look at okay, what's the thing that I'm repeating? Maybe it's every week, maybe it's every month, maybe it's once a quarter, but it's a big lift, right? And you look at that and you're like, okay, do I have SOPs around it? Do I have a repeatable process actually written down that I know works? I've done this, maybe it's only 5 times, but you know that it works. And it's not that every time you're doing it, you're changing that process. If every time you're doing something, you're tweaking the process, it might not be 100% ready for automation. You might need to dial it in a little bit more. And that's that other end of the spectrum, that, okay, we've done this twice, now let's automate it, when it's not really ready. And you're going to spend more time building the automation, tweaking the automation every time something breaks or something doesn't work like you expected, right? So it's the two ends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that, part of the process. So how does your team balance strategy versus implementation for clients? And why is that blend so important for growth for companies?
It is critical. I mean, and it's really, the conversations have to happen up front. You do have to think through the process. And this is, at the moment, this is probably a real critical piece of my role. in the company is that I have these conversations and try to flush out, quite often with the business owner, but it could be with an operations manager or whoever. But I'm trying to flesh out what kind of situation are they in? Are they in a situation where they're ready to automate? They know exactly what their processes are, and I'm already envisioning, the streamlining that we're going to do, and we're ready to hand it off. And maybe we've even built a process like that before. So like we're ready to hit the ground running. Or is it still in that theory phase? Is it still in the prototype phase where we're not quite there yet? We need to iron it out. Maybe we even need to run like a beta test and do it all by hand a couple times, type of thing.
Yeah.
And this is where like I can think of a recent example with one of my clients that he's such a visionary. And he loves to big picture think, and he loves to have meetings, and he loves to talk all this stuff out literally for hours. And so I've worked with him for a couple months now, and we've decided we're redoing his whole website, and there's a whole reason for that. It's not for no reason, but there's a whole backstory to that. But we're redoing his website, and he wanted to start like this whole planning process. And I'm like, okay. In this particular case, I'm all for planning. I'm all for having those meetings and sketching everything out and understanding what we're building. But in this particular case, and for this particular client, I said, you know what? Why don't you give me a week and just let us build it, and then you can tell me what edits you want? And he went, okay, like that's an idea. Well, we could try it that way because it's not his normal process.
Right.
Well, I can tell you we're now a week and a half past that trial. We sent him the demo account and he goes, I think I only have 5 edits.
That's amazing.
So, the hours that we probably just saved in the process because I had the opportunity to get to know him and be like, I think there might be a better way. Right.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that we're so amazing at building websites that he doesn't have any edits. It's just that some people need to like have that vision in front of them. Talking about it actually makes the process take 3 times longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, you guys have been doing this for a while. You mentioned 2009. Was that correct? You guys have been in the business for a long time. So you're bringing some probably best practices to the table to help maybe like streamline that process and simplify it. So it's not so daunting and not so overwhelming. Are there any common misconceptions that businesses have about digital marketing before they come to you that you're seeing or that you've come across?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have had probably 50% of people that get in touch with us have maybe been burned by someone before. There are some marketing companies out there that make really big promises that come in, just like, you just need to spend more. You just need to do this. You just need this whole new system. We're just going to, and that can be tough. That can be really tough when we come in on the backside. I want to say it was one conversation 2 days ago, one conversation last week, where these were some of the issues where people were coming in off of bad experiences with marketers. One guy started the conversation with, just tell me what your packages are. And I was like, well, I have some packages, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about what your needs are first. Well, I just want to know what your packages are. And he was adamant that that was what he was looking for. And so I kind of like got to the root of the problem. Was he had talked to 5 other marketers, and all they kept doing was pushing their packages on him, whether he needed them or not. They just kept saying, we have this package for you. We have this package for you. This is what you need. This is the $2,000 or this is the whatever. So instead, in a conversation, I still gave him a flat rate and a package offer, but I more or less built something on the spot for him. Well, what I think will fix your problem is these things, and here's what we would charge for it.
Yeah. I think so often people can try to like come up with a solution before they know the problem. So taking that time to really understand and ask just a few more questions can make a big difference, as you've mentioned. So are there any trends that you're seeing, like any marketing trends or technologies that you're most excited about this year? And how should small businesses be preparing for those?
Yeah, that's like my favorite question. So, um, so absolutely. I mean, everybody's heard of AI, and I could talk about AI for days. Something else that people, depending on how interested in technology you are, you may or may not have heard the term vibe coding. But that's another pretty popular thing that's raising an interest.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of this. So
Oh.
I would like for you to explain that.
And I will say, hopefully I do it justice. Anybody that ends up listening to this that feels like I butchered this, I apologize up front. So I am just starting to vibe code myself. Basically,
Okay.
the idea is you're using AI to build web pages or to build even beyond web pages. Like think of a full sales funnel or full opt-in process. If you can write the prompt, AI will build it for you. And I think the language here is starting to change a little bit because what you'll hear people saying is I vibe coded an app. So if you hear somebody say that, I know like the first time I heard somebody say that, I'm like, do you mean an iPhone app? Like, what do you mean by that? Like, what does it mean
Yeah.
to vibe code an app? Like, I'm not sure I understand. Like, I don't want to make an iPhone app, right? And it's
Right.
not exactly what they mean. What they mean by an app in this situation is really like a web page that does something. Like, think of a calculator. You know,
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out the value of my home. And so somebody vibe codes a calculator where you put in certain information and it spits out the value of your home. So in my language, I would have thought that is more of like a lead magnet or a sales
Yeah.
funnel is what it sounds like more to me. So this is where the language could be a little bit confusing. And I think that's always
Yeah.
one of those things I've always kind of not loved about marketing to begin with is like the language changes just to make it sound more interesting sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
But this is a new thing that's happening, and there's some programs out there, Lovable, Replit, Bolt. These are all programs where you can go and you can. A lot of times, people are going to ChatGPT and they're saying,
Uh-huh.
"I want to vibe code an app that does X, Y, Z in Lovable. Give me the prompt." And so that way, you're spending less credits in these other programs, and there's whole ways to do this, and it's a whole chain reaction of probably 5 different AI programs you're going to need to get that done. But that's up and coming.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the average business owner is there yet or that interested in that yet. I mean, this is what I'm spending my Saturdays doing, but I think I'm probably a little more on the fringe.
You're right.
What I think most business owners are ready for is one of our favorite programs that we started using pretty heavily at the end of 2023, and pretty much the only program we've been using through 2024, and it's called High Level. And
Mm.
High Level is really an all-in-one sales and marketing system completely. I mean, you're booking your appointments, you're scheduling your social media, you're building your landing pages, all of your forms, surveys, quizzes, you're sending all your email marketing, SMS marketing, all from one system. And like all of those pieces are talking to each other. So your DMs from Instagram are now getting added to automations where you can reply back through Instagram or through email, and you can have these whole automations built on the back end of this. And this has really been our hyper focus over the last probably 18 months.
Yeah, you mentioned it when we spoke earlier,
Mhm.
and just being able to integrate all of those various things and to get it
Mhm.
centralized. I think there's definitely some benefit to doing that for sure. So kind of shifting for a second over to kind of paid ads and paid
Mhm.
advertising for businesses that are new to that concept, new to that, doing that. What's the first thing that they should consider before spending money in digital advertising?
I think you need a proven concept. I think you need something that you know is going to get the attention. What is it? The specific solution to a specific problem for a specific person kind of idea. And if I were going back to sort of the roots of marketing and you think about the old school elevator pitch, how many
Mhm.
times in a networking event did we reconfigure that elevator pitch until we got the aha moment where we were like, "Oh, somebody just understood what I do in 2 sentences or less, and those were the words I used."
Right.
And I think that's kind of the refining that needs to happen before you start maybe putting money or lots of money, I should say. I do think today with the way that a lot of the algorithms work is without maybe doing a low budget test, it's going to be hard to find out what is working. And so a lot of times we will do low budget ads, very low budget ads, maybe even just a couple dollars a day to be like, okay, out of these 3 message options, out of these 3 elevator pitches, this one got the most attention at this low budget. Now let's see if it scales.
Right. Right. Well, and now too, you're not just testing creative or messaging, you're also testing platforms, like where's your audience, what's working, what's not working. So there's definitely that element of you know, kind of looking what's been working with partners who have an idea, work with many different people and can give you some insight and direction, but you're still have to be prepared to test things out, but kind of. And the great thing is we have analytics now that we can actually like really help people through that. What is one piece of marketing or automation advice that you'd give someone just starting out?
I think as far as automation advice when you're just starting out, I think part of it goes back to what I was saying before about not trying to automate things too quickly or, especially if you're someone like me who's you're excited to automate stuff and to get things off your plate, being careful that you have tested the process out. But then if I were thinking of, I think more often than not, the question I really get is what's the first thing I should automate? Right. So even like somebody just starting out, it's like, okay, where do I start? And I think one of the first places I often start with businesses, as far as one of the first processes I automate, is probably appointment booking. That is one of, going back and forth and trying to find out when is a good time for an appointment and then potentially double booking, or, you've put 3 emails out to 3 different people for appointments and which one gets back to you first. That is such a pain. I mean, if anybody is, and I know I would say a good portion of businesses are not doing this way anymore. They've figured out that there are tools like Calendly, like Acuity, like High Level, where you can actually automate that process. If you're not already doing that, I mean, that is a form of automation, just having that in place. And then the reminders automatically go out. So now your no-shows reduce. You can ask certain questions on forms. So again, maybe you are using one of these programs, maybe you are automating your appointment booking. But if you really looked at your process, there's information that you could be asking up front instead of waiting until you get on the call. Right. Or maybe there's a little video you could put on the thank you page after somebody books an appointment with you that tells them a little bit more about your company so that they show up to the call already knowing about you. There's always little improvements that you could add to these processes. And that's like kind of part of the overall automation is looking at, okay, first step, let's automate the booking. Let's connect it to my calendar. Let's make sure it's up to date and it's working. Next step, what information do I need to collect? Version 3.0, what information do they need about me? Like you can always keep improving on these things, but you don't need to know everything out of the gate. You can just start with automating the booking.
Kathrine, you've mentioned High Level a number of times, and I know that's something that your team really specializes in. So how could our audience find out more, and how can they get in touch with you and your team for all of your services? But I know that is a particular one.
Yeah. So our website, marketecs.com, is a great place to start. And we even have a version of High Level that we have pre-built with all the automations that we use for our clients. Basically like templates, but sort of on steroids, if you will.
Yeah.
And so that's Marketecs Engine. So if you can absolutely go to our YouTube channel. I do weekly tutorials on different ways to use High Level, the automations that we have pre-built, examples of them. Actually, I think, as we're recording this, tomorrow I have a video going out that is my top 5 automations that you can steal from me. So by the time this goes live, that video will be out and people can go check it out. So if you just want to learn on your own, like I said, check out our YouTube channel. If you want our help, there's links in all the video descriptions. You can check out our website. And I'd be happy to share more about Marketecs Engine because I'm really proud of what we've built. And I love, digging into the automations, and I'm always adding new ones. And we have a community and office hours around it. And so I'm excited about what we're building there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us today. And, really appreciate you taking the time. And for everyone listening, thanks for tuning in to today's episode brought to you by Exact Digital, your partner in performance-driven media across programmatic, CTV, paid social, search, and more. Let us know how we can help you and have a great day.